Hello, it's Leanne Lyon with Joy Minder Consulting, and this is weird for my friends and family to see me in a kitchen showing how to do anything because this has not been something I've done. But today I wanted to show how to make fresh celery juice because this is something I've been doing for a little while and on my health journey have found to be really helpful. So it's not that hard. So I thought I'd just make a quick video, easier than trying to explain it to people. So I have in front of me, of course, a whole bunch of celery. I got this at Costco. It's organic, pre-cut, pre-washed, 2.5 pounds. I'm sure prices vary depending on where you live. This was $5 for all of this 2.5 pounds of celery. So I take about half the bag out. I started with less. I was doing like 3 stalks and just getting a couple ounces, but the more I've looked into and researched celery juice, I'm like, you know what, more might be better. So I take about half at a time, so about 1/4 of the bag. I'll set the 1/4 off to the side. And the first step is just to take your really good sharp knife. I've experimented with doing bigger pieces or smaller pieces. With a good knife, it only takes a fraction of a bit longer time to cut into smaller pieces. So that's what I'm doing. They're roughly 1 inch in length, and I'm done cutting up 1/4 of the stalk. I have a NutriBullet. This is what I use. I got it at Target probably. Each of our daughters got one, a NutriBullet as they went off to college. I think it's a great tool. It's easier to clean than like a juicer or something really fancy. I put just a couple ounces of clean filtered water in the bottom. I found that helps get this mixed up. I know purists would say, don't add water, don't. It's a couple ounces, and water's good for you, is my opinion. But I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a, whatever. So I'm just putting this in here. You can't fill it all the way to the top, but you can get pretty close. So it looks like I'll fit all 1/4 of it into here. And I'm gonna put this on. This is gonna be loud for a moment, but it doesn't take very long. Put it on tightly because the juice can leak out, and stick it into the bowl. Okay, that went really fast. So that 1/4 is now down to this pulpy mixture. And now I'm gonna put the other 1/4 in. It'll probably fit into the same thing. So again, just cutting quickly. I've actually been curious how long exactly I spend doing this, so I guess this video will show how long it actually takes to do this each day. I make it fresh. Now it's become part of my morning routine. Actually, my morning routine starts out with half of a fresh lemon squeezed into a cup of purified water. That's the first thing that hits my system in the morning. So I think I'm gonna be able to pack, this other on top of the earlier stuff. I think I got it all in there. The earlier stuff gives it enough liquid that this should go quickly. Like it's all pretty well done. So make sure it's well done. You don't want to end up with a chunk of celery because that won't turn into juice very well. So you end up with this really pulpy mixture. And I try to get as much off of it as I can. I'm sure the couple tablespoons that end up in here. But this is super easy. Just take it over to my sink, rinse a little water on it. It's clean. So I love that. Now I have a 4-cup measuring cup and a strainer. So it's a pretty fine strainer. I like the 4-cup measuring cup because it just balances. I don't have to like prop it up or anything else like that. And at the end, I'll know exactly how much I made. So the one other tool that I need is I use a big spoon, and I'm gonna pour just enough in here to kind of fill the strainer. Don't overfill it. And then I just gently press down. You can see it's already leaking juice down into here, but I kind of gently press with this big spoon And as I do, more and more of the juice goes through the strainer and into it. So I do this until the pulp gets really, really sticky. Like it'll stick to the back of the spoon when more of the juice is squeezed out of it. Again, I don't get really crazy like, oh, I have to get every little drop of juice out, because you know, what you get is good, I think. So the reason I got interested in this is full disclosure, I guess you would say, is I'm working on my dental health, and one person said that this is a really great way. Celery, when I looked it up online, when I did some research there, and we all know, of course, everything online is true, but there are some antiseptic properties to celery juice, which I found really interesting. There seems to be quite a bit out there about celery juice having these type of properties and being very healing for the mouth, as well as potentially in other ways. Healing, oh, don't say that word, I know, do I ever know, but it's celery juice. It's not high calorie, it's not high sugar. And so as I've mashed this down, what filled the strainer before is now kind of this really sticky mash in the bottom. And so that's good enough. So I just stick this in my garbage, tap it out, empty, and I do it again. So I just do this a couple of times. And when I drink the celery juice, I actually will, just take a sip of it and kind of swish it around my mouth, let it get into all the nooks and crannies and crevices, and then it's still okay to swallow and drink. I have read that it can be very detoxifying, and if you're doing this on an empty stomach, or if you're doing it to break a fast of some sort, breakfast, break fast, or if you're actually fasting and use this after a more extended fast, it can run through you really quickly, just saying. So until you know how your body responds to things, maybe don't take a long car trip. But it's celery, it's super green juice. And my second batch is pretty much dried out. I put a little less in this time, and I think it's pressing through a little faster when I'm not worried about spilling over the edges. And I think I'll get the rest of it in here this time. And again, I'm getting as much out of this. I use the biggest container for the bullet in order to do all this. When I was making less, I was using the smallest container. But as I've enjoyed how this seems to work for me and my goals, ultimately, in a couple months when I go back to the dentist, we'll see exactly how this has worked for me in those goals. But meanwhile, with my other goals, I may or may not, I definitely did, put on a little bit of weight over COVID-19 2020, and possibly a little depression, possibly a little overeating, possibly very little exercise. And I am now very close to having taken that weight off. Not saying that this was how, but this is part of what I've been doing. If you may or may not be watching this video on my web page that I'm creating, because people have asked me what I am doing, and I love what I'm doing. So if you're just watching this on YouTube, I'll put the link to that page in the description when I have it up. Okay, so I've got another sticky batch. So that's good enough. So all the fiber is left in the strainer, and I'm sure some people would argue you could eat that. Yep, sure could. And fiber, there's lots of great benefits to fiber, I'm sure, but that's not my intention. So this turned into about a cup of celery juice. Interestingly, yesterday, the same amount of celery was about 1.5 cups. So it kind of seems to vary a little bit, but you can see right here, it's a beautiful green color. I got about 1 cup out of that half bag. So, and the next step is to drink it. I won't make you watch me do that, but it was pretty simple. And it looks like it took me a total of 10 minutes with all the description, but of course I was pretty much busy the whole time as well. Thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful. Celery juice, super cheap. Don't have to spend a lot of money on it. May or may not have some benefits if you want to consider them. Look it up, learn on your own. I'm not making any advice here, but I love it, and I'll keep you updated on how it's going for me. Thanks so much.